everybody coming in.
You know, every viewer change the channel.
But they're blowing up my building right now.
Terry, are we on?
Yeah.
Terry, we're on.
Yeah.
I'd like to call to order this Monday, March 2nd meeting of the Finance Committee of the Ascension Parish Council. Ken, would you please lead us in prayer and follow that with the pledge?
Let us pray. Father, again, we give you praise and thanks for all the blessings you bestowed upon us and the wisdom that you give to guide the people of Ascension Parish. We ask that you bless them, O God, and continue to protect them. We thank you for the leaders that are here and the commitment they make to the people here, O God. And we give you all the glory and praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, if you will make note, please, that Councilman Johnson is working, Councilman Melanson is out of town, Councilman Shake Snyder had to leave after earlier meetings to attend a funeral, or to visit the funeral home, and I think that puts everybody else in the building. Thank you so much. Do not have any chairs additions. I would like to mention that if anyone has an item on the agenda about which they would wish to speak, please sign up with the secretary. You'll have 3 minutes at the appropriate time to speak. Item number 5. Let me make a mention that item number 6 will not go forward tonight. It's been removed from the agenda. Just for this, so that we don't have an issue whenever it's time to hit that one. Beginning with item number 5, we would like to welcome Mr. Mike Eads, the President and CEO of Ascension Economic Development, and Mr. Bill Dawson, their chairman, for their quarterly report. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good evening, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you for our quarterly report, which you have the handout in front of you, the first page being the summary of activity of announcements last year. I won't bore you with that. If you turn to the top of your second page, look at your current level of prospect activity. You'll notice, and then also with your attached project chart, that the chart is smaller in number than it has been in the past. We, at the end of 2014, we culled the list. Basically, anybody we had any conversation or contact with for about 6 or 8 months, we took them off of there. That's one of the reasons the list is smaller. But you see the bottom line numbers are still pretty high, with 18 projects with the potential of over $13 billion in investment. Still a goodly amount of activity out there, most of that on the part of our good existing firms looking at expanding. You see the decision pending, of which one, 6 or 8 of those, which hopefully will be making a decision in the near future. A couple of other items in our business retention expansion. We do continue our calling program on our existing firms. We've done 8 of those so far, and covered one potential expansion through that. We're continuing our site certification program. As you can see there, we have 5 properties that are have been the analyses have been completed, and it's been submitted to LED for approval. We got a little bit of a backlog there, but we hope to get formal approval on those in the near future. And we have 1 additional property that the analysis is currently underway. As most of you know, we've been working very closely with property owners on the West Bank and McCall-Modest area about the potential for putting in what I call, for lack of a better word, a mega park. Those discussions continue. We have another meeting with those owners next week. And keep your fingers crossed as we hopefully move forward. We did have our consulting firm do what we call desktop due diligence on that 15,000 acres or so, looking to see, if property was at least what you can learn without going to poke holes in it and that type of thing, suitable for what we're talking about. And I'm pleased to report that that was very positive from that viewpoint. The Industrial Development Board, I have a note there to you that says we expect there should be about $80,000 or so in income this year from to the IDB from administrative fees. I wouldn't take that to the bank yet. One part of that is the Impala administrative fee, which is a definite. They do owe us that fee, or owe the parish that fee. The other is IMTT, which we've been in discussion with. They're in the process of refinancing their debt, and as part of that, they have to amend the 10-year agreement, or actually it's 20-year agreement, I think, with the parish or with the IDB on their pilot. And while that's being done, we have asked to, the IDB has asked them to begin paying a $25,000 a year administrative fee, plus another $25,000 the first year of the agreement. So that will be $50,000 total if that is concluded, that deal is concluded. I expect it will be, but it's just not done yet. But stay tuned with that. Just a couple other things. We have attached a summary of our program of work. I don't think we provided that to you before. That's on the page adjacent to this, and we won't get into the gritty details of that. I am pleased to report to you that 2015 is the 10th year anniversary of AEDC that you created. And we're going to be talking to you some more about that later on, and hopefully, not hopefully, but in the fall sometime, we're going to have a little celebration of some kind, and you'll definitely be involved. That concludes my report, unless you have any questions.
Congratulations, Mike. We appreciate the work you do. Gentlemen, do you have any questions? Mr. Kluot.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mike and you guys for the job you're doing. And while we on this particular subject of economic development, I would like for everybody not to underscore the price of crude oil that has affected the state budget, and long-term it will affect us. We've other things that's been plaguing us is the ozone. This body has went forward with a resolution all the way to our federal government, and our parish president has spent some hard, cold days up in D.C. fighting that. We feel like we're on the upper swing of holding that off for a while. But all the things that are happening will affect our economic development picture as it was 2 years ago. It's being affected right now in a different position, and it will for future. We see some, not the biggest projects, but we see some projects being put on hold, some projects being pushed into 2016, and in some of the major industrial areas. And one of the things that's come to light in the last couple of days is the governor's office looking to increase the tax or fee, whatever you want to call it, on materials stored. And that's something that is in abundance in Ascension Parish, and that's something that will affect the major stakeholders at some point, depending on the outcome of how that legislation goes and whether it hangs in there. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Any other comments or questions? Mr. O.J.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike, yeah, Downsonville Industrial, can you give just a little update of what y'all been doing to support Downsonville in the situation with their industrial park, the one?
We have been working with the Industrial Development Board and their staff or consultants to put the package together to extend the road into the park. You may not be aware that the existing road that ends just past Chef Folse's plant, there's not even a right-of-way or a servitude going back into the property, crossing over those two major pipeline corridors in there. And those things, there's probably 10 or 12 pipelines in there. And so we don't have a way, as we stand here, to to get a road into the vacant part of the property to make it marketable. But they have made some progress. I know the Industrial Development Board over there, and I was told that it would soon start, the construction of a gravel road, at least to get you back into that part of the property. And hopefully we can, that'll help us sell a tract in there and get an employer, which opens up some state monies for putting a permanent road in there.
Right, and the reason I asked that, to give you an update on that, because lately we've been showing some improvement on the West Bank around the Sunshine Bridge, and that's all in that area. And so more companies, CF is expanding, more companies are looking for that area, so it's very important that we try to get that industrial area up to par so we can start marketing it.
We have not been submitting that property prospects for the last 3 or 4 years simply because you can't get into it, but we just now have begun submitting it again, in fact, just last Friday, submitted it to a potential prospect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you for the update, Mike, appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Chairman.
Thank you, OJ. Any other? Hearing none, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Moving on to item number 7, renewal of a contract with Burkhart Horn Incorporated for consulting services for Lighting District Number 6. Total budget allowance for consulting support services for Lighting District Number 6 is $75,000. Welcome, Mr. Michael Terry.
This is for ongoing support for current construction projects that we have, as well as any future projects for the rest of the year.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, a second by Councilman Chris Lohr. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Thank you, Michael. Number 8, certificate of substantial completion, La Ball Field High Mast Lighting, contract number ENG-10-023. Michael?
Yes, ma'am. This was a project to replace 3 of the lighting pole foundations, as well as the lights that was damaged during Hurricane Gustav. And we finished the project under budget and before the FEMA timeline.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Have a motion by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 9, monthly contract report.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Before
Sam.
you have the list of contracts that were entered into in the month of February. Give you a minute to look at it if you have any questions.
Gentlemen, do I hear any questions on this item? Hearing none, thank you so much for that report. Item number 10, the budget amendment number 2, approval to introduce an ordinance to amend the 2015 budget. Ms. Dawn Cavallera.
Good evening. You have before you the ordinance for budget amendment number 2, which reads as follows. An ordinance to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2015 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on the 20th day of November 2014. Section 1. The Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2015 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, Recreation Fund, expenditures and other financing uses. Transfer out to the Park Construction Fund, $1,800,000. Lighting District Number 6, expenditures and other financing uses. Transfer out to the Lighting District's Construction Fund, $600,000. Capital budget, Park Construction Fund. Revenue and other financing sources. Transfer in from the Recreation Fund, $1,800,000. Expenditures and other financing uses, engineering fees, $52,000. Contract payments, $1,830,000. The Lighting District's Construction Fund, revenue and other financing sources, transfer in from Lighting District Number 6, $600,000. Expenditures and other financing uses, engineering fees, $133,500. Contract payments, $1,110,000.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, a second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Do I have any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, the budget amendment passes. Item number 11, the sales and use tax report. Ms. Gwynn.
Good evening. You have before you your regular sales and use tax report. This is for the month of January 2015, and it's based on the December sales. This will be the first month of reporting for the 2015 year. You can see that all of the January collections compared to 2014 are up at this point. It's not because of audits, it's because of a planned expansion on the west side of the Mississippi River primarily. And you can go on page 2 and see this is representing just the 1-cent sales tax. And the year-to-date, of course, is just 1 month. All sectors are up at this point. And the pie chart gives you an idea, using the 1 cent, what sectors your sales taxes are collected in. This was a high month. It's probably our second highest month of our collection history. And, the plant we're referencing should be completed at the end of next year. So we should have a pretty good year again this year. And the history shows you, excuse me, the history shows all 3 sales taxing districts, and you can see 2014 was indeed, for the 2 sales tax districts, the highest year since inception. And not only was the big plant expansion going on the west side, but we also had several expansions on the east side of smaller value. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions, gentlemen? All right, hearing none, we'll move along to item number 12, the revenue and expenditure report.
Good evening. Before you are the financial reports for the month of January 2015. Page 1, revenues are at 8.33%. On page 2, expenditures are at 18.78%, at 8.33% of the year. On page 3 are charts that compare the year-to-date revenue and expenditures for both operating and capital to the budget. On page 4 and 5 gives a brief explanation of the funds that are highlighted on page 1 and 2 that are under the budget for revenues or over the budget for expenditures by 5% or more. And the last page reflects all checks that were issued in the month of January that were over $100,000, and the total of the checks were $7,725,123.86. Right, the 18% on expenditures are due mostly because of contracts and purchase orders that have been encumbered on the books. That's why we had 18% at this point in the year. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Do I hear any questions, gentlemen? Hearing none, we thank you very much for that report. Item number 13, the bid items to accept the lowest responsive bid as follows by Ms. Joan Shivers.
Good evening. On October 28, 2014, the Purchasing Department received 2 proposals for the Ascension Parish minor home repair project. After review, the Non-Engineering Selection Committee recommends accepting the proposals submitted by Providence and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert,
Second.
second by Councilman Dan Satterley. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
On February 18, 2015, the Purchasing Department received 3 bids for precast reinforced box culverts. After review, the Purchasing Department and DPW recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Capital Concrete Products, and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this material.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
A motion by Councilman Dan Satterly,
Second.
second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
On February 18, 2015, the Purchasing Department received 4 bids for coal mix application for use on parish roads. After review, the Purchasing Department and DPW recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Barriere Construction Company, and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this material.
A motion by Councilman Randy Cluott, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
On February 18, 2015, the Purchasing Department received 2 bids for CRS-2 asphalt emulsion. After review, the Purchasing Department and DPW recommend accepting the second lowest responsive bid from Asphalt Products Unlimited, and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this material.
So move, Madam Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Chris Lohr. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Motion adjourned, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very
Second.
much. Good night.